So I picked up a book this weekend or week. I actually pre-ordered it a couple months ago. It's actually based on an Instagram account. It's called Accidentally Wes Anderson. So I think it started as a blog. I was reading like the pre-word or whatever you want to call it here in it, the forward pre-word. Um, Started as a blog that this guy was, traveling and taking photos of like interesting places that kind of looked Wes Anderson inspired. So this Instagram account started, and it has basically just contributions from like people all over, just posting pictures of places that kind of have that Wes Anderson style color palette, and you know, um, I guess how do you describe it, Yanni? I know we talked about this a while ago, but I'll share
Flat,
here
That
just
straight lines
pastel.
and
yeah,
pastel.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go. The symmetry. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. So it's the account accidentally Wes Anderson. Really cool. I like just seeing stuff that pops up because again, it's not like one photographer's work. It's not one place. So it's like the most random things, like this wood shop here, or this other building or whatever.
That
So
wood
really
shop
cool.
is pretty damn Wes Anderson.
Yeah, right. I mean, it all is, right? But yeah, the wood shop really is. And it's just a lot of cool stuff in here. Some of it's all right, some of it's really good. So if you've ever seen any Anderson films like the Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, Incredible Mr. Fox. I mean, I haven't seen them all, but you know, the cinematography uh, and the scenes are very much like this, right? Very symmetrical, very pastel colors and everything. So it's a real cool book. I'm actually looking forward to go through it. I haven't looked through it completely. One thing that's a little, I guess, disappointing about it, I guess maybe because there's so many damn pictures, is it's not like that glossy paper type.
It's
So
like matte.
yeah, right. So it almost feels just like a regular plain book sheet. So it doesn't pop as much as watching it like on a phone or viewing it on the phone, where you kind of have the LCD. I don't know if you want to call it glossiness to it or whatever. But
Hmm.
it's interesting because you know the part that appeals to me with the book, which I'm actually looking forward to, is like it's not just a book of pictures. They're actually showing you, and let me see if I can get a page. You know, where it is. When it was taken, things like that. So let's see if I can show that. Right. Like, no, let me stop sharing because then it'd be a little bit easier for you guys to see.
Is the
Yeah,
is
right.
the
How do
book
you
entirely by one person, or is it like user contributions?
user contributions? So that's what I was trying to show. So this, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically it tells you okay where it is, who it's from, some background on the actual place itself. Holy crap! If you've ever seen like Isle of Dogs, that picture right there looks like it's pulled straight out of the movie. You know,
Straight.
see where
Yep.
they have that? Yeah. So
Um,
really interesting. Yeah,
so
really cool
fun
book.
fact about me, I am a huge Wes Anderson fan. I actually have a tattoo of Steve Zissou on my ribs. Because
Really?
he's my favorite Wes Anderson character. It's played by Bill Murray, um, from his movie The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I've seen all of his movies many times, like many times. Specifically, The Life Aquatic is probably like the one I've seen the most. I've seen it more than a dozen times for sure. I've seen The Royal Tenenbaums more times than I can count. I've seen Darjeeling Limited so many times. I just sent the link to Mark. I don't know if you watched it or not. His short
I
film.
didn't get a chance to have it bookmarked
Um,
to watch though.
it's called Hotel Chevalier.
Not
Um,
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet.
not Chevrolet, as my autocorrect put it. With Jason Schwartzman and Natalie Portman. I have been a huge fan of his for a very long time, and I found out about that Instagram account a while back, and I thought it was really cool because a lot of it's like legit. A lot of the places that are photographed there are straight from his like his
Yeah,
theme, his
his visual
thematic
style, man.
visual
Yeah,
style. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Wes Anderson actually, if you will, approved the book as well. Um, so that's actually really cool. That wasn't just somebody that took the name or whatever. He actually talked to Wes Anderson about it, and I guess he liked the project. And the forward is actually written by him. So I just flipped it over, and I was like, oh, it's written by Wes Anderson. I started reading, it, I didn't
nice.
realize who it was. Yeah, so
I'm
yeah,
super excited about The French Dispatch, which is his next movie. In the one of the main characters is played by Timothy Chalamet, who is an amazing actor. Um, he was in this movie called The King that's on Netflix. That the cinematography is insane, dude. That movie's awesome. I love that movie. He's a young kid. Yeah, he kind of blew
Maybe.
up more recently, but he's really cool. And like I think Adrian Brody's in it. I'm sure Bill Murray's going to be in it because he's been like in all of his movies.
Yeah.
Uh, and the cast is just phenomenal, man. I
Yeah.
want to say maybe Brad Pitt's going to be in this one. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Cast of
Yeah.
French
Let's see.
Dispatch. Timothy Chalamet, Benicio Toro, Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, Frances McDormand, Owen Wilson, Lea Seydoux,
Wow.
Adrian Brody, Saoirse Ronan, Jeffrey Wright,
Liev
Elizabeth Moss,
Schreiber, Christoph Waltz, who's one of my
yep,
favorite actors.
Christoph Waltz, Jason
Holy crap.
Schwartzman, um,
Yeah.
Tony Revolori. Yeah,
Some good
dude.
actors in
Angelica
here, man.
Huston's gonna be in it. Kate Winslet, Bob Balaban, Edward Norton. Holy
Wow.
crap, dude! Like, and all of his movies are like that, though. Like, even and it, if you look up, I guess like the casting of all this stuff, and you watch a movie, someone super famous will be in it for like a second, and you're like, "What?
Yeah.
That was like Brad Pitt or whatever." Like, yeah, man, I really love Wes Anderson, so I'm glad you brought that up. And we actually didn't even discuss this beforehand, because I wanted to save it for the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, just because it's pictures from all over the world, it kind of reminded me about like traveling too. Like, well, when we used to be able to do that thing we call traveling, because
Yep.
I'm like dying for the pandemic to be somewhat under control and like things to open back up. I've been thinking about it quite a bit. Like, okay, well, we've been all at home, all, basically photographing, at least within the US for the few of us that have traveled anywhere. But man, I'm dying to like get back on a plane somewhere and go somewhere I haven't been before, or even somewhere I have been, just to, take it all in again, maybe somewhere like in France or something like that. That's kind of on my bucket list right now.
Funny you mentioned that too. And going back quickly to Wes Anderson, my wife and I, the first big trip we ever took to Europe, we went to Spain, France, and Italy. And in Italy, we specifically took a detour to Milan because Wes Anderson has a cafe in Milan. And we
Really?
specifically wanted to go to that cafe. And that's the only reason we went to Milan, actually.
Nice.
It's called Bar Luce. And they have a Steve Zissou pinball machine. The food was awesome. And it was like, you can imagine like the way that the cafe looks straight out of a Wes Anderson movie. It was awesome, dude. It was so much fun.
Take a
and
note
it's
about
inside the Prada, the Fundación Prada. So yeah.
Nice. So where you guys want to travel first? I can let you guys go first because I have some ideas, but where the first place are you going?
We always take a trip in December. This year is going to be a little bit more complicated, but we usually go somewhere like some national park, like in the West Coast or something, but we don't want to fly. So we might just take a drive to like the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Smoky Mountains.
Cool.
Check that out. See like what hiking is available. Talk to some friends that go out there. See photography wise, like it's not going to be Utah or anything, but it's still nice.
Don't be scared to fly, man. Flying's not that bad at all.
My wife will be like 6 months pregnant by then. So
well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, the naughty word that we can't say here, COVID-19. Yeah,
just went from 10 viewers to 5.
It's super easy. The airlines are being really great about everything. They're super clean. Like I've never been on such clean planes ever. The flights that I've been on have been not even 70% full. I wouldn't do American Airlines because they're kind of being dicks about it, but we flew Delta and they were awesome. They were really great about it. And I felt like they were doing so actively, like trying to make sure that everyone felt safe and secure. Whereas American Airlines were like, we're selling out our flights. We don't care. And we actually always used to, before the pandemic, always used to fly American Airlines. And now we don't anymore because of that. Because we were just like, dude, you're really going to be like that for real during a pandemic, But yeah, man, I would love to check out the Smoky Mountains and stuff. I've been to the Blue Ridge Mountains several times actually, and we just went to the Rocky Mountains last year. I think around this time last year, yeah, in October, I think.
Yeah, I think like people from Miami go like Miami, Hialeah, somewhere like in Tennessee, like the Smoky Mountains. Like everybody ends like Christmas comes around, my entire Instagram feed is people like somewhere like either North Carolina or Tennessee. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? When did everybody start going there?
Yeah. I noticed the same thing too. I was like, I mean, it's nice and it's not too far. I mean, you know, it has its reason. I mean, if it wasn't for COVID, for sure, I mean, I'd look to go elsewhere. I mean, we did when Tiff was pregnant with our first. We went to Arizona, Utah. Did a couple places there, so that was cool. But for me, like I want to go internationally. Like I don't like the minute we can travel safely again. I want to go somewhere like maybe Europe, maybe even Asia, just somewhere like I've never been. That's on my bucket list. I mentioned France just because I've never been to France, but I'm dying to do that. And I actually want to plan it as not purely a photography trip, but definitely something where it's like, all right, this is going to be a big part of what I'm doing here. Which most trips are, but definitely from a photography perspective, I want to go somewhere where, I've always wanted to go, always wanted to photograph. Like I said, France comes to mind just because, things I've seen, but yeah, that's my first thing. First thing I ever want to go international.
France is really beautiful, man. I love France a lot. It's probably my favorite country that I've been to. I could easily live there, like no questions about it. Um, the south of France is really beautiful in the summer because it's kind of like having, I don't know, it's like a really great vibe there, and it's a little packed, obviously, but anywhere with nice weather in the summer is packed. Miami's packed
Yeah.
in the summer, so if you know where to go and what beaches to go to and what hotels to stay at, south of France is great in the summer. And then you have Paris, obviously, which is my favorite place in the whole world. Is the in also in my opinion most photographable place in the whole world. Everything in Paris is photographable, man. Everything is photographable, just like Gary Winogrand says. It's kind of like New York in the sense that there's always something happening, but it's not as like fast paced as New York. It's more like chill. And then the architecture is like historical and everything, so you have that side to it, but it's still kind of it has that modern city feel in terms of like the people. um so like especially with like the fashion and like how people dress and what people look like and stuff. So it's this like crazy mix of like old and new, and I think that's why I love it so much and why I think it's so photographable.
Have you been to Rome by any chance?
I have, yeah. Rome is cool. I didn't like it. I love history, and I got ended up by accident, actually. Long story, but long story short, we got a private tour of Rome with a tour
Nice.
company that we booked a full tour. It was supposed to be like 20 something people, and we were the only ones that showed up.
Nice.
So we legit got a private tour of Rome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I like that part of it, but I didn't feel like it was as photographable. Maybe I just didn't spend the time there that I should have,
Mhm.
but I didn't feel like I felt like every photo that I took was just like a touristy photo.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I just like the vibe, like not even from a photography perspective, but as you're talking about, and I guess you were originally talking about from a photography perspective, but I just liked the vibe of like, okay, here's the Pantheon here, but then I'm gonna go to this place right over here and sit at a coffee shop with Wi-Fi and have a gelato or something. Like that just was mind-boggling to me. Like there's a photo I took actually with my iPhone, which I don't know what this was 2013, so I don't know which iPhone this was. It was probably like a 5 or 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like a picture of the Colosseum, and the Colosseum's here, and then you have like this road kind of winding around it. It's not a great photo, but it to me, like of all the pictures I took there of of the Pantheon, of the Colosseum and everything there, that one just stuck to me because it said something about like the modernness right next to like this BC ancient structure that's there, and it's like nestled in the middle of the city.
What
One
I
of
found that was really cool.
one of my favorite parts and most memorable moments in Rome was the tour guide showing us. We were at the right outside the Colosseum, and there's like this long strip of like basically grass.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, he's like, yeah, that's where they used to race the chariots. And I was like, that's just like mind blowing in terms of
Yeah.
like trying to distinguish how long ago that was in your head, and you're sitting there looking at it with your own eyes. And I have like an iPhone in my hand and, you know, a camera in the other. It's really nuts, man.
Like
Yeah.
the thing like that I like more, like I guess for Paris versus Rome or something like that, is that Rome has all these super old things, but they're at this point just monuments. Like
Mhm.
here's like the Pantheon. Doesn't do anything, it's just
Right.
there.
Yeah.
While Paris has all this history, but all that history for the most part is still being used.
Yes.
Like you have old buildings that people live in, businesses
Right.
go on. The churches
Yes.
are old, massive, and beautiful, but they still hold masses and they're still being used. It's
Yeah.
I've been told
living
to
history.
not I've been told to not move to Paris because the buildings are so old. So like if you rent or buy an apartment there, that it's just almost a pain in the ass to live there because the buildings are so old, and like the, you know, the plumbing needs work and the electrical needs work, and
Imagine.
everything's been there forever.
Everything's tiny.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind that like at all, because like when I'm in Paris, I'm never at home, quote unquote. Like I'm never at the hotel.
Yeah, but if you live there,
Yeah, I was about to say living there is a different
Yeah,
story,
but
though.
dude, if I live there, I would legit be probably out photographing all of freaking time. I'm like obsessed with that place. What about
Yeah,
you? Where's your
100%.
favorite place that you've been to, Yanni?
the trip I keep on talking about, the Zion, Utah, like Moab, all these, like I can't stop
Mhm.
thinking about that trip. And close runner up, the Olympic Peninsula, like the
Okay.
area around like Seattle, and like
Yeah.
the drive between Seattle to Portland,
Okay.
all
Yeah,
that
I've been up
area
there
over there, like
too.
those beaches and everything are amazing. It
Yeah,
looks like
dude.
it's
That place
it's
is really beautiful for sure.
like living in a movie scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
a
spend
fantasy
more
movie.
time there. I've never been to Seattle. I've been
Definitely.
to Portland. But definitely Pacific Northwest time needs to happen soon for me as well.
Like go off to
Yeah.
the coast and like the beaches are, yeah, like just massive rock just jutting out of the ocean.
I live vicariously through Bench Heish and a bunch of other photographers that I know up there that live
Yeah.
there, and they just like photograph these weddings and stuff up there that are insanely beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, using the landscapes and stuff.
It's not even fair. Like they don't have to do any work. Like
I
everything
know,
just looks nice.
seriously.
Everything
Like
looks
my
nice. Throw a
favorites,
moody preset.
my favorites, yeah, my favorites are the one where like the people are like a tiny, like
Tiny,
a couple of
yeah.
centimeters on the screen,
Yeah.
and the rest is just like beautiful landscape. It's like doesn't
Yeah.
even need to be about the people.
You could have hired anybody to do this. Awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's funny because like at work we use Slack now, and there's a bunch of like social topics that people subscribe to, and there's a photography one, and people are sharing different things, and like somebody started like a weekly theme, or I think it was daily, where like this is the new theme of the day, whatever. And it's like the last one was fall, and I'm like, can't really contribute here, but it's like you have all these people who live in Seattle and in the Northwest or in the West Coast, and like there's all these different pictures, and again, they're not. I wouldn't. I'm not judging that they're not good pictures, but it's like it's just beautiful scenery. Like you can't, like nobody's posting a bad picture. It's just even people posting with phones, like they're just great. It's great scenery, and we just don't have that here. Funny enough, I actually did have an interesting picture that I was able to share from the first time I went to Seattle when I was going for my orientation for work. So it was I'll see if I can find it and share it too. It was kind of cool. It was a picture of the Space Needle, but it was kind of framed in by some like fall leaves. So like the tree leaves were like reddish, whatever.
Yeah.
And I shot it with, I had an X Pro 2 at the time, and I was using classic chrome. So like I'm saying that because of the color reproduction, how like the color palette would look with like the blue sky. Obviously classic chrome has more of like a, what was it, like an aquaish look? I mean, not aqua.
Yeah.
What's the
Like
color
a
I'm thinking
teal.
of? Teal. There we go. Yeah, teal look, and then the reds have this kind of look, richer look to it. So yeah, man, it was. I actually really liked the shot when I took it that time back then, and so I was like, oh, I got something I can contribute to the fall pictures, even though it's not from home and it's an old picture. But yeah, that was kind of funny. So I'll see if I can find it before. But it's a really, I like the picture. So
I haven't experienced fall colors in a long time. We're going to Wisconsin on Monday. Actually, we're going to Illinois first. We're going to Chicago because I have a gig up there, and then we're going to Wisconsin for a few days, and then we come back for 2 days, and then we're going to Tennessee. So I'm hoping that I get to. We really want to do like an apple orchard, and I really want to experience those fall colors, man. I haven't seen that, and it's really the most remarkable thing.
How far is Wisconsin from Chicago? Like, I have no idea how to frame the
So,
Midwest.
well, we go like my family's in Milwaukee, and it's an hour and a half from Chicago.
I thought Mark's gonna pull up a map.
No, I was actually just trying to find a
What's up,
picture.
Google Maps? Like,
Oh, it is a cool photo.
yeah,
So
man,
it wasn't as framed as tight as I wanted to, but like, you know, just the backdrop of like
Nah,
the
dude,
leaves, red,
I
and
think
then the
it's a great
building
photo.
here and the sky, and you know, and then the Space Needle. But this was actually the hotel I was staying at. I was walking away, and the Space Needle was like on the block over. So
Nice. Yeah, dude, I need to get up there, man. That place looks awesome.
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm always downtown, and like we usually don't get a lot of time to venture outside like downtown Seattle. But my old manager was talking about like doing like a retreat, like to go up in what the hell's the mountain that's over there, Mount Rainier, whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Taking a trip up there, like apparently you can rent like a van or something, or they have, you know, like guided tours where they take you up there for the day and whatever. But he's not my manager anymore, so I don't know what's gonna happen. So new manager lives in Minnesota, funny enough. So
Okay.
yeah, so but I was looking forward to that. Yeah.
The land of Alex Soth.
Oh, that's where he's from, or is that
Yeah,
where
he's from
just-
Minnesota.
okay, yeah. I saw something that came in from Magnum recently.
Their print sale.
Maybe it was that. And I was like, Alex
Yeah.
Soth was mentioned like by name, and I was like, oh, you know, I'm pretty sure you got it already, but I was going to mention it to you and forgot. So
Yeah, I know. I actually don't have any Alex Soth prints, and funny you mentioned that because so my birthday's in a couple of days, and my wife always gives me my birthday present early, and she got me a 50 millimeter Summilux, and she said that she was trying to get me an Alex Soth print. That's what she wanted to get me for my birthday. There's a specific photo that I have as my phone background. Here, I'll just pull it up here. Hold up. Let me take all the notifications off my screen. All right, can you guys see that photo right there?
oh, I know that photo. Yeah.
Yeah. And she wanted to buy me that print. And she's like, yeah, I contacted a gallery about it. And it was like $30,000. So
Cool.
the Summilux ended up being pretty cheap.
It's being pretty cheap. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. We're going to Scotland next year for
Nice.
I'm shooting my cousin, one of my cousins that lives in Wisconsin. She's getting married. Her husband is from there. Her fiance, I should say, they're doing their wedding over there. So we've actually been looking at like hotels and stuff. We're gonna stay in Elgin. And we're hoping to stay in a castle. So
that would be dope.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty dope. But realistically, I think for me, my biggest bucket list next big trip is Japan, only because we were supposed to do that this year. We like actually had flights and hotel and everything, and obviously because of the pandemic we had to cancel. So I really, really, really want to go to Japan as soon as possible.
Yeah. I have so many places on my bucket list, not even just for photography, just to go, whatever. Actually, one of the other places that is on my bucket list, and it's photo related, but also another hobby related, is Le Mans in France, or I guess wherever that is specifically. I think it is in France, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've like been dying to go there, and like Le Mans or Monaco for the Grand Prix. So 24-hour Le Mans and Le Mans, obviously, and then in Monaco, the Monaco Grand Prix. So I've already told my wife, I was like, that's, you know, maybe for like my 40th birthday or something, like something, we got to go to one of those places,
for sure.
You know?
Monaco's really beautiful. It's very small.
I was about to say,
it's a lot smaller than you would think. But the Grand Prix, like the track is, so it's really cool, man. Like it goes through like these tunnels and stuff, and you're like, you look out and you're like right next to the ocean. It's beautiful. It really is. It just, I guess my only thing about Monaco was like, you have to be either save up for a long time or mega duper super duper rich to even spend a good amount of time there. I mean, that's the only place that I've really seen like mega yachts. Like when you see yachts, you're like, oh wow, that's a yacht. What is that? Like 20 mil? You go over there and it's like a yacht is a small country.
Yeah. You know what, that reminds me too, like and this is still along the lines of like Grand Prix and just interesting places. Like Singapore is also on my bucket list. My wife and I were talking about it, and she was like, "Yeah, let's go to Singapore or let's go to Tokyo." So, man, I guess that's the problem. It's like everything's been backed up, not only because of COVID. I mean, we have young kids, so it probably hasn't been that practical. But now it's like they're at the age where we're okay leaving them for like 10 days with family.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Or and it wouldn't have been that bad, especially with daycare. They're not in daycare now because obviously we're not sticking them in daycare considering what's going on. But it would have been easier then to go away for 10 days because at least we wouldn't have to burden our parents or my in-laws with taking care of your kid from morning to night, right? It would have been like, take them to daycare in the morning, they're gone to daycare in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon, and and so on and so forth. But man, I'm like dying to go.
I know, man. I know the feeling. Man. I mean, luckily we were able to go to Wisconsin in August, and then we took a drive up to Tampa for a couple of days shortly after in September, and then now we're gonna do this Wisconsin / Illinois / Wisconsin / Tennessee trip, and I'm starting to it definitely is releasing those endorphins of like, I need to do this because I really felt cooped up, especially with how much we normally travel. Last year we were out, I mean, at least 6 months out of the year, so it was horrible to have to just stay here for most of the year.
Yeah, the whole not traveling thing has been like not going anywhere, not doing anything, not even the fun part that's just planning the trip.
Yeah.
So we were planning a trip to, I think I mentioned it at some other episode, to Yosemite.
Mm-hmm.
We were like dying to go. We were looking at places to stay, and that just got wrecked. So
yeah,
which is the other reason why I'm like, oh, the Blue Ridge Parkway is nice, but
mm-hmm.
it's not Yosemite at all.
Yeah.
Like the magnitude is so different between just the West Coast and the East Coast.
Yeah. Like at that point, you're just taking what you can get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I just want to go somewhere, anywhere, please.
Yeah. Oh, well, I actually, on that note, speaking of just going anywhere, somewhere, me and my family and my wife's family, we went to Hillsborough River State Park, like near Tampa. It was like 20 minutes outside of Tampa, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We rented an RV with, could sleep a bunch. We all slept in there, obviously kids and all. Man, it was really cool. And I know we talked about this offline, but I took 2 cameras and end up just using my phone. And it was like one of the most liberating things to like not particularly stress out, like, okay, I got to get something here because I brought my cameras, got to make it, make use of it. I took some pictures just around like the RV, but like, I wouldn't even say inspired. It didn't make sense, with all the family there and kids. And I realized like that actually made me stay a little bit more present. And I know it sounds cliche. You've probably heard it like in lots of different YouTube videos or blogs about like staying present as like a photographer and whatever. And, but it was nice. Like just, okay, cool. Hey, there's nice scenery. The kids are walking by. Let me take a picture. I used like the portrait mode on the iPhone and it was actually really cool. So that was pretty liberating to not have to, or not feel the pressure to do anything or not care, and come home and not be disappointed with it. So I don't know, that was a good experience for me.
Yanni, would you do that?
Hold on, sorry, I was trying to pull up something. Do what? Go on a trip and not take any photos?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, me neither. I couldn't do it.
I can't.
I mean, I think it's like the reason I travel.
Right. And that's probably also the reason I have like simple, like the GR. Like I think when Marc originally told me this, I'm like, that's why I have the GR. It's easier to take a photo with a GR than it is with my phone. It has a shutter button. I can use it one-handed. It doesn't have Instagram to distract me. It's actually a better be in the moment camera than my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True. I mean, I guess the reason I found it, because I thought about it, I was like, oh man, a GR would probably be good here. But it was just, I'd normally, in that case, I'd have my phone and my camera. And I guess what I got out of that trip, especially, and remember, it wasn't particularly my trip in a sense, like it's not something I was particularly looking forward to because it was based on my brother-in-law to plan. And I was like, all right, well, if you guys are going, I'm going to go. And it was just a park. It wasn't anything spectacular. That's why the photos haven't been, it wasn't a big deal, right? Because I think what ended up happening is where I went and I didn't have any planning into it. If I had planned to go somewhere and not taking a camera, like I'd be a lot more upset because, you know, I'd have thought about what are we going to do? You know, what are we going to see here? Is just like, all right, we're in an RV with a bunch of kids and family and stuff like that. I know I'm going to be pretty preoccupied and have to put it down and not really be able to enjoy it or lug it around if we even go for a walk. And it was just, I just rode bicycles with the kids and we walked around for one part. And, you know, I wouldn't have had the time to really enjoy photography. And yes, again, the GR using one hand, I think would be good enough. But at the same time, because I'm not shooting for high quality photos or that didn't really matter, it was really liberating to use the phone. And I feel like I that's one thing I got from that is that I'm going to try to use my phone a little bit more, you know, in those scenarios. Right. And not necessarily go for at least grab the X100 or something like that. Just use the phone. Right. Because most of those moments don't really, you know,
I might be
really
wrong
don't
here,
matter, but whatever.
And no offense to our Tampa listeners, if any exist, but was there really anything nice to take a photo of?
That's sorry. That's the point, right? The only reason I brought, just for gear talk, because we can't avoid an episode without talking about gear. I brought the XT3 and the 16-80 and the X100 just in case, like, we were walking around and I wanted to take something lighter. Because I looked it up like the night before and they're like, oh, you know, there's alligators and there's a river and there's rapids and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I don't know if the weather's going to hold up, so I'll take 2 cameras that are weather sealed just in case we're out and starts freaking pouring, you know, and in case like we see any wildlife or anything like that, which we did see an alligator. But again, it's, you know, I was more enjoying showing my son, hey, look, there's an alligator in the river, and like taking a picture of him, like pointing at it or something, and, you know, just taking a picture again for him to see it later on, than let me make a nice photo out of this. Because to Yanni's point, yes, it's also just Hillsborough River State Park. It's not, you know, a well-known super scenic park, you know. So I think that's a part of it too. It's, for me, when it comes to like deciding what to take, it's like the stress of like thinking about, well, what are we going to see? Where can I make a potential photo? Or if I do bring something and like come back empty-handed because there really wasn't a good opportunity, I usually get frustrated. And I think I was happy here because there's kind of a medium here where I took some photos, so I kind of got to exercise that part of my brain and, you know, have some memories just to share with the family. Like I took a bunch of photos of the kids just having fun, and I didn't need to like have a camera to my face to enjoy it, you know. So I think that part of it was really interesting for me.
That's
cool,
I think, man.
If I were to go again, I might still take the camera because there's a friend that saw that I was there and he goes, oh, you should keep hiking and go further up. There's the rapids there and it's a really good opportunity. He's like a landscape type photographer. And I was like, yeah, we were with the kids. We kind of had to turn back because everybody's getting hungry and stuff. So, you know, it's one of those things where like, if I went by myself and it was my plan to go there, I think for sure I'm taking something and, you know, I'm making something out of the trip because I know what to expect. But, you know, for these types of trips and outings and stuff like that, I think I'm going to try to, you know, not make a big deal out of it, if you will. Right. So, because usually I'm not there for myself, you know, I don't have much time for myself with family and the kids to worry about.
So
yeah,
man, I pulled up a couple of photos on the Pacific Northwest trip for Christian to see like what I meant by it being like a fantasy world. Let me see if I can figure this out.
I already know which one he's showing, and that trust me, it got me. Like when I saw those pictures, like
I don't even know if you might be thinking of a different trip.
No, like, I'm thinking about this one because you shot this with the X100, right? This was actually,
that's crazy, dude.
There's two trips. Yeah, there's one that you shot with the M240, M262, which I remember thinking, Jesus, but yeah,
like, things like this, like living in Miami my entire life.
Exactly.
The Olympic Peninsula, and this beach was, oh my god, I can't remember the name of the beach.
I don't remember either now. Like it's at the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, this one I remember too. I was like, the way the light was just hitting, I was like, it looks,
man,
it's gloomy, but like it doesn't look like how it's been here in Miami.
Whatever, yeah.
And just to have my own Space Needle.
The needle.
Great picture.
But yeah. All right. How do I stop this?
Boom. That's awesome, dude. I need to go out there for sure.
That was like
maybe I'll do that sooner than later. I don't like the cold. I don't do well in the cold. I'm constantly uncomfortable. So that makes things a little bit difficult when traveling to those kinds of places. So it kind of limits the time of when I can travel there. So I just have to see when I can go that I'm not going to be like, I don't mind being a little cold, but once it starts getting down to like 10s, 20s, I'm not
That's what it
about
was
that.
for our Paris trip. It was brutal. It
Yeah,
snowed
man,
during our
it's
trip.
too much, dude. Like, you know, even snow, like sometimes it could snow in the 30s, and okay, even though it's not preferable, but 20s, 10s. We went to Montreal once, and it was negative 20
Ooh.
degrees, bro. And I was like, I'm never doing this
Negative
again.
20? Oh
Like,
my
why
god.
did I come here? Like, I'm miserable. And it was
Jeez.
Montreal, so it was like beautiful, but the cold, I was just like, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to do anything. I want to stay in my hotel all
My
day until
God.
it's time to eat. Go eat and come back and stay warm. You know?
Jeez.
So
Yeah, I went to Montreal in June and it was nice because it was like warm in the day, but then really cool at night, but not like, you know, like light jacket or, you know, thicker jacket than what we'd probably wear in Miami in the cold and whatever. But yeah, that was awesome, man.
I don't think I
love that
made
place
any
too.
good photos in Montreal, which sucks. I definitely want to go back and do that. Supposed to be shooting a wedding there next year, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's hopefully Christian comes back with some good photos, some of his trips that are coming up, so we could see
I
them
hope so,
next
yeah.
next episode.
Yeah, totally.
All right, guys.
Cool.
So
All
the
right,
next
buddy.
one. Later.
Later, dudes.